Welcome to Beyond the Classroom, the podcast from Laramie County Community College's Outreach and Workforce Development team, where we explore how education connects directly to opportunity. We're your hosts, Adam and James, and today we're tackling a big question. How do we close the gap between what students learn and what employers actually need?
So it's no secret, Wyoming, like much of the country, is facing a growing skills gap. But workforce development and the programs that we offer is changing that game. By aligning education with real world opportunities, real world requirements, these programs ensure that students are career ready and employers can find the talent that they're looking for. In this episode, we'll explore how LCCC works with industry to build training that leads straight to employment and what that means for students, businesses, and the broader economy. So let's dive in.
Our first question for you, Tonya. Let's start simple. What do we mean when we say bridging the gap between education and employers?
We just mean really tailoring our training programs to what industry and what employers need. I mean, basically, that's it, right? We want employers and industry partners to be actively engaged in designing our curriculum, um, looking at the skill sets we need to make sure our students have, the hiring of our students as they come out of our programs. All of those things I think are really important. And traditionally over time, I guess, you know, there are different things that education has done to try to bridge that gap and possibly some different things that employers have done to try to bridge that gap. But the gap is that sometimes education isn't exactly aligned with what industry needs or with emerging trends in the industry, and may not be preparing students for what the reality is in the workplace. And so bridging that is just making sure that we come together and we work harder together uh, to to ensure that we are offering that quality training that is preparing our students well for jobs.
So you mentioned there's a disconnect between education and the outside world, for lack of a better term, or lack of one that comes to my brain anyway. So what drives that? Is it communication? Is it the skills themselves? Is it something else? What is it? What creates that gap in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think it's a lot of things, but one thing that comes to mind really is that things things are changing very, very quickly in industry. And that's driven a lot by changes in technology, changes in how we utilize um, talent versus technology within the workplace. Those kinds of things, they're changing so fast and employers are nimble enough typically, and especially in private sector, to be able um, to make changes as they need to really, really quickly. Education, anybody who's ever been in public education knows that traditional education just tends to move a little bit slower. So we're always just a little bit behind in catching up to what the trends are. So it could be due to just the fact that we aren't communicating as regularly with each other as we need to. It could be other things, but I do think that that's part of the reason why that gap has existed in the past.
Okay.
So here at LCCC in our Reach and Workforce Development, what are we doing to help close that gap?
Well, I think we are learning how to work, you know, right alongside of our industry partners in not only the development of our training programs, but the review of our training programs, the assessment of our training programs, making sure that all of the new skills that are required of employees within that industry, whatever it may be, are integrated into our training programs. A prime example is we recently had an advisory committee meeting with our HVAC employers about our HVAC apprenticeship program. And it came to their attention and then was passed along to us that most all HVAC technicians within the city of Cheyenne now are going to be required to have a low voltage license because they do work with electricity, and that's just something that the Construction Trades Licensure Board is going to require moving forward. And so that is something that we were able to immediately respond to and implement. So not only will our current students receive that training in order to earn that credential, but all future students will receive that training to earn that credential. And people who are currently working in the HVAC industry who do not have that credential can come back and earn that credential here so that they do have the requirements they need to continue working in the field. So that's just one example, but it's really it's really nice that we are able to pivot really quickly and do that on the non-credit side and the workforce side. We don't have to rely on a lot of formal internal processes to get that done. We can just simply change the program and offer it immediately moving forward. So that quick response to changes in the workforce, quick response to employers' needs is key. That really, really is key. And then the employer engagement, had they not come to the table and told us that this is a change in our field and this is what we need moving forward, we may not have known for a while because we are not necessarily engaged in that world of work. So
That's a great example. So, what other kinds of skills and credentials are employers looking for these days, and how do we go about responding to those?
yeah. Well, I think employers again, it kind of depends on the industry, but they are looking for the most part, the trend is looking for the basic skills that are necessary for someone to do the job. And then they are willing to either train them on very, very specific job related skill sets in house or send them back to us for continuing education later on. So, really wanting someone to be able to get in the door with a high level understanding of what it is they need to be doing. So, one example is our manufacturing boot camp. We offer a 9-week boot camp in manufacturing that is basically just a really quick kind of overview of everything a technician or an operator would need to know prior to going into a job. So, the program manager for that program, Dave Curry, likes to say, it's like skipping a rock over the lake, right? So they're getting wet, but they're not diving deep into some of the very, very specific technical skills they may need. But that's exactly what our employers in manufacturing want. So then they can get that person in the door, they have enough knowledge to get them started, and then they can send them back to us for a precision measurement class if that's something they need later on, or to take a deep dive into one of our programs, or if it makes sense for them, and they really want that student to develop into a CNC operator, they could send them through the credit diploma program we offer here, which is a 16-week program, which is a deep dive into how to operate CNC machines. So that is, I think that's the best example I can give.
So, how does LCCC's approach differ from a traditional college path when it comes to preparing students for jobs?
Yeah, so I really think we've had a shift to looking at we want students to get good jobs, not just jobs. So when we say we want to prepare our students for jobs, it's not just any job, it's a good job that's going to have a good wage, that's going to allow them to contribute meaningfully and support themselves and their families if necessary. So that really is our administration here at LCCC's vision and approach to all of our training programs that we offer here. But I can say that here in Outreach and Workforce Development, that is certainly something that we would be looking at. So we get approached a lot from employers asking for training in various topic areas. But if for some reason we think that there's a specific training that we would be offering that wouldn't necessarily provide a skill set for someone to go and get a good job, something that's good paying, that actually exists within our community, then that's probably not something we're going to use the resources and time to stand up here. So we want to make sure that we are intentionally building programs that are going to either prepare someone to enter a good job or to help someone who's already in a good job come back and reskill to continue to grow within that industry.
Yeah. So obviously, employers should be involved in these. What do you believe employers' role should be in these programs? And are the employers in our community actively involved?
Yes, they are. And I think their role should be very active in helping to shape these programs. And most employers are willing and wanting to do that if they do have the capacity. And sometimes they don't have the capacity, and that's okay too. But for the most part, they want to be involved because this is their workforce. This is their talent pipeline. These are the people they're hoping to hire. And so if they are able to have to be able to weigh in on what those skill sets look like that we're training our students in. They are more than happy to do that. And we are so lucky here. We have such an incredible partnership with so many different employers and partners and public and private sector. We do a lot with public sector here in Cheyenne because we are our state's capital, and so we have a lot of public agencies and things here, and so we have great partnerships with them. We have great partnerships with private industry. They all are willing to come to the table and work with us, and we often will go to them, and work with them as well. So yeah, so I think it's important that they are actively involved. I think it's important that we are maintaining those relationships and growing those relationships constantly.
So, how do students benefit from this kind of alignment with real industry needs?
Well, I think it would be just a terrible feeling to go through a training program and feel like you're getting the skills you need to be successful, and then go out into the workforce and realize you actually don't know what you need to know to do the job. I think that would be rough, right? And so that's why it's important is we want to make sure that our students can go into these jobs with confidence and that feel they actually can apply what they're learning in the workplace day one, as soon as they are hired on. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, making sure that they know that they can articulate when they go into the interview process and when they start applying for jobs. Listen, I have all of this training in safety. I've got my credential in my Class A CDL license. I'm ready to go to work, and here's all the information I know that is going to be important to you as an employer because I learned it in this program. Be a student being able to confidently express that to an employer is really, really important, I think. So, would you say that's true? I mean, you guys know you work directly with students quite a bit. Is that important to students?
I think so because, thinking about some of the traditional, you know, 4-year degrees, they may come out and not have some of the skills they need to actually work there. And, for us to be able to say, hey, we've actually talked with, the business, the industry, all these people, and we know you're getting what you need.
Yeah. So I'd put I'd put money on it that there's quite a few businesses out there that would like to be more involved in the training of their current employees or future employees. So if there's a business out in our community somewhere that wants to help with any of these workforce programs, how do they get involved?
Oh my gosh, great question, and I would love that. So we actually do hire people who are working in industry to train for us. And so they will come and they will train during and we work around their schedules. So to be flexible to their work schedule during times that they are able to commit, they will come in and they will share industry knowledge. They will train in a very structured kind of format, utilizing our curriculum if that makes sense for whatever the training is. And really all they would need to do is reach out to us and say, "Hey, I am so and so in such and such industry, and I am interested in participating in the workforce training for this. How can I help?" One example I can give, recently we had a company, a very large company that is new to town, just recently moved to town, reach out to us and ask us about a specific training program And so we met with the individuals from that company, and they offered to review our curriculum and weigh in on what they thought we would need to include and what they thought we wouldn't need to include for the training program. And that was how they contributed their time. And we found that to be extremely valuable. And so they literally went through with a pen and crossed out the things that they thought they didn't need and wrote in the things that we did, and we kind of had that back and forth. So I think that's something that is just so vital and so important. So I would welcome involvement in any capacity, whether it's even coming in just to talk to our students at the end of a program to say, hey, this is what my company has to offer in terms of jobs, versus actually engaging in as an instructor here at LCCC, the day-to-day training of our students. We would welcome any and all involvement.
So, final question for you. What's the long-term impact of getting this education to employment pipeline right?
We're not going to have we're building a thriving economy. So we can't do that if we don't get it right. If we continue seeing students go into deep debt for training programs or degree programs that are not useful to them and are not able to get them jobs, or we continue to misalign our programs with industry needs. And I'm not saying we're doing that, I'm just saying that has happened historically, just in education in the US in general. It's going to be continue to be detrimental to our workforce and to our economy. And so ultimately, if we want to continue moving forward and being an economic leader globally, as a country, we have to get it right. And so I speak in broader terms like that because it's not just an LCCC issue. It's not just a Wyoming issue. I think it's an education sector issue, and workforce employer partner issue nationally, that we all need to be working together on this, and we all need to be prioritizing this. So it's really, really important, and something that I think we all are trying really hard to stay ahead of here at Outreach and Workforce Development at LCCC. I believe we're doing a really great job, but there's always room for improvement, and we are open to that feedback. So that would be my answer.
All right. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode. And I hope this conversation about how workforce development is helping to bridge the gap between education and employment has helped you. Whether you're a student looking to build new skills or a business looking to train your workforce, just remember that LCCC's workforce development team is here to help you bridge this gap.
Visit lccc.wy.edu/workforce to learn more about our programs, employer partnerships, and how to get involved. And don't forget, you can find Beyond the Classroom on Spotify, YouTube, Castbox, and Amazon Music. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share with someone who's ready to make a move. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and remember, your future starts beyond the classroom.
I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow. I want tomorrow today.